Well, guys, yeah, you're right. There's Jake the Steak Roberts, and you're listening to Top of the Morning.
Hello, and good morning once again. Welcome to episode 8 of the Top of the Morning podcast. I am your host, Eric Ames, and we are back this week after a little bit of a break last week. Probably will be more sporadic episodes as we head into the holiday season. Of course, next week is Thanksgiving, so still working on trying to obtain some interviews, but it's looking like we will be at least every other week, and definitely be looking to provide you with, at bare minimum, preview prediction for pay-per-views, stuff like that, which is, of course, what we have for you this week. But before we get into that, if you have not already, I would like to continue to urge everybody to go check out our buddies referee Tony S. and Chip K. Fabe at the Checkin' the Boots podcast. They've got a great team over there, a very entertaining show. I listen to them every week, so you want to go over, check them out, subscribe to the show on iTunes, as well as various other podcast platforms. So on to our show this week. We had on for the first time TopRopeReport.com columnist and reality specialist Kristina Marston, who you've probably heard spoken about on the show before with Joshua Searles, as they obviously are together. So sorry, fellas, you're SOL on that one. So this week, of course, we have Survivor Series coming up on Sunday and TakeOver on Saturday. So we break down all the matches, the road heading into the big event on Sunday for Raw and SmackDown as we get set for brand warfare. So without any further ado, here's episode 8 of Top of the Morning, the Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver Toronto prediction show with TopRopeReport.com's Kristina Marston. Okay, everybody, we're back, and for the first time on the show, we finally got her on. She is a columnist and reality specialist for TopRopeReport.com. Please welcome Kristina Marston to the show. Kristina, we finally got you on, eh?
I know, finally. I've been looking forward to it.
Took a couple weeks, eh?
Yes, sir.
That's okay. Well, the positive about having you on for me, especially this time of year, is you're not in our fantasy football league, so thank God I don't have to talk about that, because that's been
right.
I don't know, how's it been in your house this year? Have you heard any fantasy tirades from Joshua at all?
No, not too much. He pretty much knows it's like talking to a wall at this point.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you have a winning record, so that lucky bastard.
I still say we should do a fantasy wrestling league, but that's just me.
You know, there used to be one back in the day. I can't remember exactly how it was set up, but I would assume it was similar to the way that regular fantasy sports are. WWE used to do one, and I'm not sure what happened to it.
Oh, really? Like an official one?
Yeah, like an official one. I've seen some other ones where people do similar things. I've seen them like through social media or whatever, but the last time I looked into one, it was super intense, and I just don't have the time of day for that.
Yeah, you've got enough on your plate for sure.
Exactly. So, before we get into our Survivor Series predictions and possibly TakeOver, I think that we'll have time for some TakeOver Toronto stuff. Why don't you go ahead and let everybody know kind of what you do for TopRopeReport.com.
All right. Well, as you said, I'm one of the reality specialists. I write the Breaking Bella's review and opinion article, and I also have been covering Total Divas for, how long has Total Divas been on now?
Yeah.
Quite a while. And I also write Mixed Tag Mayhem with Josh, where we just kind of pick a random subject, go back and forth, and hopefully argue about some things, because that's what makes it a good read.
Yeah, when I had him on before, I had asked if things ever got heated enough where there was some wrestling-related arguments going on in the Searles household.
Oh, gosh, yes. I always compare it to when I tell people how big of a wrestling fan I am. I'm like, imagine a really intense football fan, and that is how I am when I watch wrestling.
That's actually a great example, which I know we know a few of them. I won't say any names, but there are definitely some intense sports fans in our inner circle. I used to kind of be that way, but not so much anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I felt so bad for the guy that was sitting next to me on Hell in a Cell. He did not want to be there. He did not care. And out of all kinds of fans to get stuck next to, he was stuck next to someone like me.
That is unfortunate. See, those are the kind of people I like to be surrounded by. When I go for the whole spectacle, which you and Josh actually wrote about last week now. In your latest column, which I completely agree with. That's half of the fun of being there. So if you get dragged along, I can't imagine it's too good of a time.
Yep. Oh, and then possibly getting interviewed by the network and completely bombing it and sounding like a bumbling idiot.
Oh, well, I'll be on the lookout for that.
It would have been on the kickoff show for Hell in a Cell, so.
Oh, okay. I'll have to go back and rewatch that. I'm usually tuned in and out until the action actually starts. So speaking of pay-per-views, I guess that's a good transition into our main subject today, which, of course, this Sunday is WWE's Survivor Series, which is technically the second of the big four pay-per-views since the brand split. SummerSlam was back in August, which kind of was, but it kind of wasn't. The brand split had only been going on for a couple of weeks. And, of course, the main, I guess, point of contention for this pay-per-view is the brand split wars, Raw versus SmackDown. So, of course, every match, except for what I believe will be the main event, we're just going to kind of go in the order that I have them. Will all be inter-promotional matchups, so
I'm excited for the Survivor Series because having the brand split again, I feel like definitely makes Survivor Series more of how it used to be rather than just, one brand kind of, because like with the potential for titles changing shows and all that, it makes it a lot more exciting.
Yeah, this year is definitely a lot more intriguing. Personally, I feel like it's a little early to be doing a kind of brand war angle, but if you're going to do it, Survivor Series is definitely the perfect pay-per-view for that.
Yeah. And, I don't see why they would do a brand split without doing like a brand feud, really.
Yeah, you kind of have to. Personally, I would have rather seen them. If they were going to do it, maybe they didn't want to have to wait that long because you've got WrestleMania season coming up here shortly, but I think there's still a lot more solidifying of, like, say, Raw's tag team division, which we'll get into talking about the matches. I don't know. I feel like that they need to kind of stand out on their own for a little bit. That would have been my preference, but this really reminds me of the old bragging rights pay-per-views, which were never really that great, so I'm hoping that this one will be a lot better. I don't know. Did you ever recall the bragging rights pay-per-views?
No, because I never used to be able to watch pay-per-views really because they were, so expensive. I could never really do it, but I still go on the network and start watching those. But I definitely heard of them and played them like on the video games, but
Yeah, they were very similar to the format for Survivor Series this year, and if I'm remembering right, they always took place in like, I want to say October, so it was always a month before Survivor Series, so
yeah,
it never really made any sense. So it seems like they're doing it the correct way now. This is, I guess, bragging rights version 2, I suppose you could say.
right.
So let's kick off into our predictions. So, like I said, we don't know the exact order, but I'm just kind of going by importance in my mind, I guess. So starting off, we're going to go with the Cruiserweight Championship, which the stipulation is if Kalisto wins, then the Cruiserweight division will be moving to SmackDown Live, and he's taking on the champion, Brian Kendrick. So, I don't know how you feel about this one. This one, to me, along with the Intercontinental title, which is also for a championship to possibly move shows, I'm kind of up in the air about it, and I feel like if it happens with one of these matches, it's going to happen with both of them.
Yeah, it's weird because the Cruiserweight division it's pretty decent size, but it's not big enough where they can have Cruiserweights on both shows. So really the only thing that they can do is switch them back and forth, which, I don't know, it's just strange to me.
Yeah, it seems like, the Cruiserweight Classic was highly successful, and that was definitely the peak of the, I guess, now Cruiserweight division. But when TJ Perkins lost the title, it seems like it lost a lot of steam. He was pretty popular, and it seemed like he was being pushed to the forefront of that division, and then all of a sudden he just loses the title.
Right.
It was kind of a puzzling move to me.
Yeah, it was puzzling to pretty much everybody, I think. Because it seems like they were gonna like push him and really get him up there, and then there were a lot of mixed reactions when that happened, for sure.
Yeah,
I wasn't quite sure how to feel about it, but
the only sense of it that I could make is you are really loaded with baby faces in the whole division, from Cedric and Lince Dorado and obviously TJ. So having a heel champion makes more sense that way, but I just feel like TJ should have held on to that longer because, as I said before, a solidifying spot on the roster. They've only been on Raw for 2 months now.
Yeah, and having somebody hold a title for longer almost adds more prestige to the title, and having him just, have it for a little bit and then drop it, I mean, if they're just going to keep bouncing the title around, it needs to have meaning,
Exactly.
To a certain point.
Yeah, they haven't had most of the build-up to this pay-per-view has been about the brand wars, so a lot of the storylines and angles have been kind of put on the back burner a little bit, but they haven't given Kendrick any kind of an angle since winning the title, so hopefully that will change after Survivor Series, win or loss. This one's tough for me because with 205 Live coming on the 29th, and it's going to be on Tuesdays, which means they're going to be taping it right after SmackDown. It's only logical that the division moves to SmackDown. However, I think that it's too soon for that. I don't know if I would like that or not for them to be moved over, because if they do get moved to SmackDown, then they're getting their own show, but they'll have less time on the, I guess, cable television show, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah, it does. I mean, I definitely prefer SmackDown now just because I find it a lot more interesting what they're doing, and most of my favorite performers are on that show. So it's like, alright, if all the cruiserweights go to SmackDown, Raw is just gonna be kind of how Raw has been for the past several years. just kind of meh.
Yeah, I would agree with that. SmackDown definitely has done a much better job of maintaining multiple angles going on throughout each division, whether it's the women's or the tags or the men's division. Yeah, this is a tough call on this one. I think I'm gonna have to go with Kendrick retaining. It kind of was silly to me that Kalisto ended up on SmackDown to begin with, because he was their best cruiserweight before all this ever happened.
Right.
So it would make sense for him to be a part of it, but I can't see them moving that whole division to SmackDown so quickly. So I'm gonna go with Kendrick.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. They need to keep some form of different types of interest on Raw, so it doesn't end up getting stale.
Yep.
So, and the whole heel thing too, I definitely see Kendrick retaining, for sure.
Yep, I could see that as well. Alright, so I think a lot of what happens in that, like I said, will affect what happens in this next match. For the Intercontinental title, we have the brand new champion for the 6th time, The Miz, defending against Sami Zayn, and of course, if Sami wins, then the title will move to Raw. So, are you anything like me where, you know, if you're picking Kendrick in the Cruiserweight match, or does that mean you're going with The Miz in this match?
Oh, no, I'm picking Sami in this. Well, I don't know, is The Miz going to be filming a movie anytime soon? Because you know how I am with, like, the IC title. Like, we've written about it before. It's The Miz title.
Right.
It's The Miz title. It's stupid at this point to me. I really, really hope that Sami takes it, because that dude needs a belt. Like, he needs a belt. But, like I said, I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to mess with us and just get us all angry that The Miz is the champion again. I'm not sure if I'm the only one that's, you know, as angry as this about it, but...
Yeah, I'm not angry.
It's frustrating.
I'm not angry about it, because I think I'm on the other side of the fence with that, and I've actually been a pretty big fan of The Miz's IC run, and think it's been some of the best work he's ever done.
I love The Miz, don't get me wrong. He's one of my favorites, but...
But yeah, I actually predicted that The Miz would get the title back quick after Ziggler had won it from him, because I think that stipulation was just used as a way to, you know, give them a rematch and make it more important, and it never really meant that much.
Right.
Obviously, hindsight being 20/20 now that The Miz has won the title back. For me, this one, like I said, I think it coincides with the result of the Cruiserweight title match. I think that if the Cruiserweight title was going to swap to SmackDown, then I think you take the IC title and basically trade it to Raw. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, but where I think that Kendrick is going to hang on to that, I think that SmackDown will retain the IC title. And I don't think it would make a whole lot of sense to basically have both mid-card championships on Raw with the US and the IC title. So
right.
Here's my conundrum, though, because there's been so much friction between The Miz and Daniel Bryan, and I don't know if you watch Talking Smack at all, but recently...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Maurice was like, well, why don't you just trade us? So...
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go out on a big limb here, and this is going to be my... Well, maybe not my really crazy prediction. I think I might have two of them, but this is going to be one of them. So I think that Sami Zayn wins, gets the title, and then gets traded to SmackDown for The Miz and Maurice.
Huh. That's quite a theory you have there, sir.
It's definitely out there, but so that way...
It's possible.
Yeah, SmackDown would still keep the championship, while also having some finality to this kind of Miz-Daniel Bryan saga, because they can't have a match, so they're going to have to end it some way, somehow. So that's my bold prediction.
Yeah. And the way that SmackDown has been run, I feel like it is definitely the show more geared towards what and who the fans like, whereas Raw just kind of follows the same model, and Sammy is extremely popular.
Yeah, I was shocked that he didn't go to SmackDown to begin with. Like, him and Cesaro, I thought would go to SmackDown. But Sammy, it seems like they don't know what to do with him when he's not feuding with Kevin Owens. I still feel that way.
Right.
Alright, so next up on the docket, or on my docket anyway, we have the 10-on-10 Tag Team Survivor Series Elimination Match with Team Raw.
That is a lot of people.
Yes, Team Raw comprised of the Raw Tag Team Champions, The New Day, which we don't know who it's going to be. I assume Big E and Kofi. Along with Enzo and Big Cass, Gallows and Anderson, Cesaro and Sheamus, and the Shining Stars, taking on Team SmackDown Live, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Heath Slater and Rhino, the Hype Bros, the Usos, American Alpha, and Breezango. So when it comes to these elimination matches, I feel like I'm probably going to repeat myself a lot because I could see the same scenario playing out in each one where there's infighting between the teams and it ends up costing them a victory. So these are so difficult to predict. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, there's 10 on 10. That's a lot going on.
Yes, it is, and
that is a lot.
I'm remembering. Of course, if you follow TopRopeReport.com, we do our pay-per-view flash series every Saturday morning, and I'm remembering back to the initial years of the Survivor Series pay-per-view that had these 10-on-10 matches that were tag teams, and I have hope that they'll make it more exciting nearly 30 years later, but let me tell you, some of those matches, they were hard to get through.
Yeah.
It's just a complete cluster. There's so many guys.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think that you can completely expect this match to go at least 45 minutes. Like, that would not shock me at all.
Yeah, especially since on both teams you have a couple of members that don't necessarily get along too well, where, like, Heath Slater, Rhino just kind of randomly slapped together, in my opinion. And then Cesaro and Sheamus is kind of a little bit up in the air with that, too. So I could definitely see something happening between both of those pair-ups where it will end up, them fighting within each other and that costing them the match or,
just blowing up in their face. Yeah. I think that's pretty much the recurring theme of these kind of matches. The only way that I can predict this is to go by on who I legitimately feel is better, and at this time, I think it's blatantly obvious that SmackDown's tag team division is much deeper than Raw's, so I'd have to go that way. But then again, at the same time, WWE could be completely aware of the fact that Raw's tag team division is lacking, and they give them the win to try and make them look strong because they're obviously the weaker of the two.
Right.
So if I'm forced to pick, I'm gonna have to go with SmackDown, but it's really a coin toss either way.
Right. Yeah, as far as, in-ring talent and technical ability, SmackDown I feel like definitely has the better team. But man, Team Raw, they have the New Day, they have Enzo and Cass,
They do, but once you get past that, they don't got anyone else, really.
But the Shining Stars, they're great.
I don't mind them. I just think that they keep getting saddled with horrible gimmicks, and they just for some reason it seems to me like Raw just doesn't know what to do with the tag team division. Like I don't know, none of the booking of it makes any sense at all. If it doesn't involve the New Day, then it seems like they're lost.
Right.
Creatively, anyway.
Yeah, and they have such good potential to use Enzo and Cass, like knowing them from NXT way back. Like, they could do so much with them, and they're just not. Because, like, you hear the pops they get when they come out. It's insane.
Right.
And they're just kind of resting on the New Day.
It is.
Which I love the New Day. I love to rock along with that. But at the same time, there are other, which is the perpetual Raw problem.
Yeah,
there is other talent besides your very top talent.
I think at this point they're kind of painted into a corner where I feel like you have to lead towards New Day versus Enzo and Cass at WrestleMania. I don't know how else you can go about it. Gallows and Anderson, I think not putting the titles on them was a big mistake, and now they're kind of scrambling, as we've seen, where they just mishmash Sheamus and Cesaro together. Yeah,
just like two random pieces of Play-Doh getting smashed together.
Yep.
But ever since AJ Styles went to SmackDown, Gallows and Anderson are just kind of, I feel like, floating along.
Yeah, they were onto something a little bit originally with the Doctors, Gallows and Anderson skits. I thought that those were really funny. But then when they did the Old Day skit, that totally bombed. And then they just kept losing and losing to the New Day in scenarios that it just didn't make any sense. So yeah, they seem to be lost or floating along, as you said right now.
Yeah.
So with that said, I assume you're gonna go SmackDown on this one as well.
I gotta go Raw. Sorry.
Raw's top heavy.
Yeah.
All right, so we got, let's see. So, all right, 2 out of 3 we're different on, so that's good, because the last couple of times I think I've had Doug on here, we've pretty much agreed on everything.
I'm a woman. I like to disagree.
This is true. I will plead the fifth. All right, next up on my schedule, we have the 5-on-5 traditional women's Survivor Series match. Hitting Team Raw, comprised of the Raw Women's Champion Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Alicia Fox, and Nia Jax, accompanied by Dana Brooke. Taking on Team SmackDown Live, comprised of the captain that's not the champion, Nikki Bella, which I'm going to get into, the actual SmackDown Women's Champion, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Naomi, and Carmella with their quote-unquote coach, Natalia. So I know that you, without using the term in a derogatory manner, are a major Becky Lynch mark. So,
yes.
How do you feel about the champion for Raw being the team captain, but the champion for SmackDown not being the team captain?
Yeah, it's not right, man. It's just not right. The champion just needs to be the captain. I don't know, like, they're just trying. Nikki has been gone for so long due to her neck injury, I think, that they are really trying to thrust her back in to the spotlight up to the same level that she was when she got hurt. So that's the only sense that I can make as to, and also she's obviously Nikki Bella. That's the only sense that I can make as to why they decided to make her the captain.
To me, I feel like it's clear that this SmackDown Women's division still revolves around Nikki because of her presence on television, with, as you know, Total Bellas and Total Divas, and she's really started to reach, dare I say, almost legendary status because of her because of her whoring with Cena, but also because of her lengthy Divas title reign, and she's just super over. And I think the fact that Becky missed the last pay-per-view and was out for a couple weeks kind of not hurt her standing with the company necessarily, but she just wasn't around, so she was kind of in the back of everybody's minds. It's a bit of a double-edged sword because having such a high-profile, I keep wanting to say diva, but I know that's the wrong term. High-profile
women's superstars is the politically correct term.
A high-profile women's superstar like Nikki and a champion, that makes it easier for you to have multiple angles going on within that division that are interesting, as we've seen with Becky and Alexa and Nikki and Carmella. However, sometimes that might mean that the champion, if it's not that high-profile superstar, might have to take a bit of a side step. So,
right.
I think that's kind of what's going on, but I'm okay with it because it's really elevated Carmella greatly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe a lot of it, like, thinking more about it, has to do with, like, WWE is a company, basic marketability. Like, Becky, you gotta have a taste for the laugh kicker. And Nikki, for just the casual fans, someone can turn on the TV, see Nikki Bella, and be like, ooh, I'm gonna watch this. Yeah, so having her at the forefront is, probably what they're thinking.
Right. Plus,
in terms of that,
the name value of it, like I said, she's really elevated Carmella to. I mean, I was not a big Carmella fan. I'm just overall, I thought that she still needed a lot of work, whether it was the music, which I still think needs work, or the fact that when she got called up, a lot of people don't watch NXT and didn't know that she was associated with Enzo and Cass. So
right.
She wasn't getting a great reaction. So I think you compare Nikki with people like her, or I know you're not a fan, but people like Eva Marie, and she's gonna be kind of that cog in the division.
Right.
Kind of like Natalia, except obviously Nikki's profile is a lot higher. But to help the rest of the division, for me, SmackDown and Raw, the tag in the women's division, the case is the same. Like I feel like SmackDown's women's division is deeper than Raw's again. For a lot of unforeseen circumstances like Paige's injury and suspension and things like that. But I don't know. Would you agree with that at all?
I miss Paige. Yeah, I think SmackDown is definitely the more interesting of the two, for sure. I'm loving the Alexa and Becky angle. I'm adoring it so much. And Carmella, putting her with Nikki was definitely the smartest move that they could make. As far as, this is a hard one, because I like so many different girls on each team.
Again, Raw, kind of similar to the tag division, is top heavy, as I would say, but overall, SmackDown, like, one of my favorites on SmackDown that nobody ever really talks about is Naomi. You know what I mean? But, I mean, you've got Alicia Fox.
So underrated.
Yeah, Naomi is extremely underrated. I would love to see her get some kind of a run.
For sure, me too.
But once you get past, you got Charlotte Sasha Bayley on Raw, Nia Jax is an up-and-comer, but then you got Alicia, who's essentially, I don't want to say a jobber, but she pretty much is a jobber at this point. She's been
around in the company for so long, and she's still
the Natalia of Raw with, obviously not the same technical skills, you know what I mean?
Yeah. See, if I could have it my way, I would definitely swap out Alicia and have Dana Brooke in the match, because I have come to be a huge fan of Dana Brooke.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I think, I don't know, maybe for whatever reason they didn't want to have that many heels on the team. I can't really make sense of that, or they just needed somebody on the outside to neutralize Natalia, and it made more sense for Dana Brooke to be out there rather than they're accompanied by Alicia, when Alicia doesn't have any association with any of them, basically.
Right. Alicia's only around because, Total Divas, I think. But it's funny that you say, Dana balancing out Natty, because I have often, like, almost thought of Dana as, like, a mini kind of Natalia. I don't know if it's just the ring gear looking so similar or, like, the physicality of both of them, but I can definitely see, like, Natty retiring and, you know, Dana almost being not, like, the crappy gimmicks, like, you know, spot, but she definitely reminds me of a young Natty in some way.
They definitely have the same build. Personally, I would have, you know, we've been seeing the vignettes for Emma or Emelina or whatever they're going to call her now. I guess Emelina. I would have had her make her debut as a part of Team Raw rather than Alicia Fox. But, you know, other than that, Alicia's basically in there out of necessity because Summer's out injured. Paige just had surgery and is suspended anyways. So other than that, you don't have anybody else. So this one I think is another coin flip. I really don't know. I don't know which way to go. I think I'm gonna go with Raw this time. I think that Carmella and Nikki will end up costing SmackDown the match. That's gonna be my prediction. A good point. And then that's gonna lead into another match between them with some kind of a stipulation at TLC in a couple weeks. So I think that's where I'm going.
But what about Charlotte and Sasha costing Raw the win? Because they have bad blood too.
That's true, yeah. So, I think it's mainly because I didn't want to only pick all SmackDown. Like I said, I could see that happening on either side. Bayley could get involved in that too, where it looks like, you know, Bayley's going to be the next challenger. Or even Becky and Alexa on SmackDown. So, basically because I have to pick one, that I'm going with SmackDown. I don't feel confident about really any of these, to be fair.
Right. I'm going with SmackDown. I have to stick by my girl. Gotta stick by Becky.
I think this is going to be...
Alexa is so adorable.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the one pay-per-view prediction show where, you know, I'm going to be the least confident in my predictions. This one, there's a lot of tough calls.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got 2 left on Survivor Series. So before we get to the main event, we have the men's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Which, going back, I forgot to mention, we don't know what the kickoff match is, obviously, because we didn't talk about it. So we're skipping that completely. I would think that something would get added on there. Maybe they'll go with a segment, like an interview segment or something like that. We'll have to wait and see. So for this one, we have Team Raw, the Universal Champion Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Seth Rollins, United States Champion Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman, taking on Team SmackDown, the World Champion AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Shane McMahon, the brand new Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, accompanied by the chin that got the win, James Ellsworth.
Oh my god, this is so ridiculous.
So, not that this has any relevance to the prediction for the match, but it looks like Ellsworth is, you know, there was reports that he might be signing a contract, and there was some indication that he possibly did sign one today. So before we get into the prediction for this, what do you think about this guy really coming out of nowhere and very possibly getting a full-time WWE deal?
The only thing in my head that I can really compare this to is Gilbert. I keep just thinking it over and over again.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I've seen a lot of that on social media, too.
Oh, man. I think it's really, really entertaining. I think it's hilarious. I'm not happy that they stuck Dean Ambrose with him because Dean Ambrose is my boo, and he's just so much better than just having to be stuck with a silly kind of character gimmick person. But like, what they're doing with James Ellsworth is almost what I saw happening with, remember, last year Blue Pants on NXT. Like, she just came in from the independents, got over so well. I was expecting her to get a contract. And she didn't, but this random guy comes in, no chin, and is suddenly thrust into one of the biggest pay-per-views. My brain can't handle it.
Yeah, it's really become one of the bigger stories of 2016, and I think it really speaks volumes about the way that the company as a whole looks at independent wrestling now. I think things like the Cruiserweight Classic and their working relationship with Evolve, really taking notice of Ring of Honor and things like that have kind of cracked the door open a little bit, but this year it's really blown open, and like you said, he's been thrust into the main event angle on SmackDown. For Ambrose, I kind of like him being paired with Dean because it gives him the, I guess, proverbial rub.
Oh yeah, sure.
I think it also opens the door for Ambrose to possibly turn heel. I haven't heard anything about that happening, but I think that makes that kind of more of an option where he could...
Oh, if he turned heel, that would be...
Yeah,
That would be a golden day.
He could turn on Ellsworth, and he would garner that immediate heat. So, moving into the prediction for the match, I just kind of realized it as we were talking, and I think it's kind of lined up a lot with our predictions, but I found that we're speaking a lot more about SmackDown than we are Raw. I think that's a recurring theme here. So SmackDown is definitely the more interesting product, like you said earlier.
Yep.
So I think for this match, I think that I'm gonna go with SmackDown again. It makes more sense that there would be infighting on the SmackDown side to cause them to lose. I don't believe that Randy Orton is a full-fledged Wyatt family member, so I could see him turning on Bray. TLC is only a couple weeks after the Survivor Series, so I could see that team falling apart more to be able to lead off into the TLC pay-per-view, whereas Raw, Roadblock is still like another month away, so I guess the SmackDown, if people were to turn on each other, it would still be fresher in everybody's minds for the build up into TLC, so, yeah, jeez. I'm shaking my head on all of these. I'm gonna go with Raw in this one. That's where I'm going. That's my bottom dollar. I'm spending it.
Well, Raw definitely has the bigger names. I think. I just laugh every time I see Roman Reigns with the U.S. title, though, just saying, because I think it just looks really foolish on him. I don't even know. I can't really call this one with any semblance of confidence. Let's see. I'm going to have to go with SmackDown just because I feel like they're doing something with this whole James Ellsworth and Shane McMahon being present with the team. The whole Randy Orton thing apparently being part of the Wyatt family now. I can only think back when they tried to do that to poor Daniel Bryan for however many weeks, and then they just dropped it. They're like, yeah, forget this.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was reminded of as well. I think Shane being on their team, you could definitely make a good case for, I think it would make SmackDown look bad if their commissioner was on the team and then they ended up losing. But I could also completely see a scenario where The Undertaker, came back on SmackDown Live and basically said, I'm back now. There's been a lot of speculation on what exactly that means, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him come down and get involved as well, either helping one side or obliterating both of them and leaving them laying.
Right.
So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. So that will lead us into what I believe will be the main event of the evening, and it probably should be.
Yeah.
The first
Well, it's the poster match.
Yes, exactly. The actual Fantasy Warfare match, the first match in 12 years for Goldberg, taking on Brock Lesnar. So, are you kind of in the camp of people that are not overly interested in this, or are you actually looking forward to what we're going to see?
Well, for the nostalgia factor, I am looking forward to it. 12 years, really? Oh my god. That's insane.
Yep.
Honestly, like, people are probably going to hate me for saying this, but I don't really care about Brock Lesnar at all.
I don't think you're alone on that. I've heard a lot of people.
I'm over it.
Yeah, a lot of people have shared a similar sentiment. So,
like, he's one of those people, like, just randomly bring him back, and people are supposed to be like, oh my god, Brock Lesnar's back, yay! Like, we've seen him, you know, in Boston, like, once or twice, and yeah, it was really cool to see him, but, like, oh yay, cool, Brock Lesnar, again, for no reason.
Yeah, I've definitely heard a lot of other people have kind of the same feelings about Brock. I'm not really, against him. I think it's always great when you can have somebody come around with that kind of a name value and really shine a light on the product. Pretty much any time they appear, more of a spotlight, than the WWE usually gets.
Right.
Especially when you can do stuff like this, or like his matches with the Undertaker, or you always have that, I guess, name on the marquee that you can put up that everybody knows who it is.
Right.
Especially when you got him matched up against someone like Goldberg, who a lot of people remember, even though their last encounter, which was Goldberg's last match, was not well received. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that they were both leaving and everybody knew it. And then at the same time, you also had easily arguably the most over babyface of all time in Stone Cold in the ring as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was just kind of a poisonous mixture that night in New York City, which, as we know, is a very die-hard wrestling city with smart fans.
Yeah.
So they really let those guys have it. I'm excited for it. I think, it's obviously not going to be a technical dream. It's going to be a real bludgeoning on both sides.
They're just going to stand in the middle of the ring and do chest bumps for 20 minutes and grunt at each other.
I hope not. Goldberg definitely looks a lot smaller than he was back in the day, which, of course, after that long of a time off, I wouldn't expect him to still be 300 pounds at nearly 50 years old.
But what else is he doing? He's got plenty of time for that.
I know that at one point he did host some kind of a car show, which I had talked about with Doug on a previous episode, and I still don't remember the name of it. Other than that, yeah, he doesn't even do indie stuff, really. I think he made like one appearance within the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the match, I think this is definitely Goldberg's swan song, so to speak. So I think that he puts Brock over here. I really have no idea who's going to stop Brock in the future, because it seems like forever since he's lost a match. But I don't think that it's going to be Goldberg.
I'm going with Brock on this one. They're going to build something up here. I don't know. I hope they're not just going to bring Goldberg in for just a little while, have Brock squash it, and then just kind of be done with it. But
yeah,
I'm seeing Brock just because of how the company always has used him in the past as, like you said, a big basically marketing tool, and they're not going to let Brock Lesnar lose, I don't think. Especially someone who's been out of the picture for 12 years. Like, you kidding me? Yeah, I want to see Goldberg win, of course. But from a smart perspective, it's gonna be Lesnar.
Yeah, I don't. I definitely don't see it being a squash. I think it'll be really back and forth.
Oh yeah.
Whoever ends up winning will be they'll barely scrape by.
Right.
But where we know that Brock is, or well, I can't say we know, but it's highly likely that Brock is heading into a feud with Shane McMahon, which is a whole nother story that I don't agree with. But heading into that for WrestleMania, supposedly, unless plans change, I don't think a Goldberg loss would hurt him going into that. But I think that this is it for Goldberg. You could kind of tell that from his promo, unless it was a very well done work by him, which I don't think it was. He's never was that great of a mic worker, and his return promo was probably the best promo he's ever cut. But he talked about coming back and doing it so that his kid could see him and his wife, and he did end it with, not only Brock, are you next, but you're last. So I think that this is his last. I think this is his last hurrah. So I wouldn't be surprised if Goldberg got a win because it's his last match, but I think that he'll do the right thing, and regardless of the opponent, he'll put somebody else over
Right.
on his way out.
I just can't let, Brock defeating The Undertaker at WrestleMania go. Like, just because, it's Goldberg's last match, just supposedly, doesn't mean he's going to win, because they've, gone completely insane with the way that they do things. So...
Yeah,
it's always up in the air. You never know what these crazy writers are going to do.
Yeah, I know that Brock, he has to lose at some point. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Shane McMahon, and if it is, I would be kind of pissed as a fan. I don't think that it's Goldberg either. So all right, that's it for our Survivor Series. We got a little bit of time left, so let's do a little rapid fire NXT TakeOver Toronto predictions, which, of course, TakeOver Toronto is from the Air Canada Centre in, of course, Toronto on Saturday, the day before Survivor Series on Saturday night on the WWE Network. So we'll go rapid fire here, just quick one word with what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 5 matches on this card. There has been some rumors that if you saw NXT this week, Ember Moon and
love her.
Both backed up Liv Morgan in her little war with Billie Kay and Peyton Royce.
A
little war with them, and challenged them to find a partner. So there was some talk that might get added to the card, but we don't know, so we're going to skip out on that one. So,
like a little taste of a Survivor Series match.
Yeah, exactly. Like
a little kiss, a little homage.
They've got 5 matches. One of them's 2 out of 3 falls, so I could see this taking up the whole 2 hours. So we'll see what they do. So starting off, we have the Perfect 10 Ty Dillinger versus the glorious Bobby Roode. Who's your pick?
Bobby Roode.
Yep, I am also going with Bobby Roode in this one, the hometown boy. The finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, with Paul Ellering in a shark cage suspended above the ring. Haven't seen that stipulation in probably a good 20 years, so that should be interesting. But we have the Authors of Pain versus TM61. Who you got?
TM61. I'm going there. I have to predict difference in what Josh has been saying since the beginning of this whole thing.
Yeah,
he called Author of Pain from the beginning.
I have to agree with Josh. I've kind of felt the same way as well. I think that I think that their streak continues.
Yep.
So next up, as we said, 2 out of 3 falls for the NXT Tag Team Championships. The champions, The Revival, taking on hashtag DIY.
I'm going with The Revival just for sake of 2 out of 3 falls match and endurance.
I think that this is going to be finally the time that DIY, or hashtag DIY, finally gets their revenge on The Revival. I think this is the time for a swap. Alright, next to last match for the NXT Women's Championship, the champion Asuka taking on the returning Mickie James.
Asuka. Please, please, Asuka.
Yeah, I think,
Lord help us.
I think that it's Asuka hands down. They're, amidst all the reports that the WWE wanted Trish Stratus to take this spot and then have Asuka turn heel. Of course, that didn't work out. Trish is
Asuka's not a heel already?
She is not technically, no, not technically.
She's just
she does
so
have
brutal.
Yeah, she does have those tendencies, and she did kind of use a little bit of heel mannerisms with her last big feud against Bayley.
Yeah.
But I think that they're going to fully turn her here against Mickie James, and I think that, same as with Authors of Pain, her undefeated streak continues, which is crazy.
Yeah.
She's been around for a long time now.
Yep.
You forget that no one's beaten her yet, so...
it would be...
I don't see...
It would be an uprising, a total uprising for someone, like Mickie James to come in and beat Asuka after every single thing that Asuka has been through, after everybody that she has beaten.
Yeah.
Going down the roster. That would be complete and utter nonsense.
Yep, I definitely do not see Mickie winning this. Like I said, I think she's just kind of the heater, so to say, or so to speak, to turn Asuka over. So,
yeah.
Finally, the main event, the rematch, NXT champion Shinsuke Nakamura defending the title against Samoa Joe.
Shinsuke's gonna take it. I feel like Joe's getting ready to come up.
Yeah, it can't be Shinsuke losing it this quick. That would make no sense to me at all.
Yeah, they're gonna keep him in NXT for a little while longer. I feel like maybe Finn getting injured might have thrown a little bit of a wrench into, this is a completely random, insane theory, but Finn getting injured so soon after being called up might have thrown a little bit of a wrench into Joe being called up, potentially pretty quickly after, because I would have seen them, continuing a type of feud up at Raw.
Yeah, that makes sense. There, had been previous reports that people like Joe and Bayley would be getting called up in the fall, which clearly we're moving past the fall now, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if that was the case. I definitely think Joe will be coming up just after WrestleMania at the latest. I think that his call-up is overdue, and clearly Shinsuke is the face of NXT. I don't see that title going anywhere. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but that Shinsuke is undefeated as well, correct?
I believe so, yeah. As far as I can remember.
I don't know if that can't be planned, I can't imagine. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up knocking off all these undefeateds. However, I don't believe it's going to happen in Toronto, unfortunately.
Canada is a strange and mysterious place.
It is.
One never quite knows what's going to happen.
Yes, it is definitely a bizarro world. It will make TakeOver a great viewing experience for sure. And Bobby Roode will probably blow the roof off in his hometown.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
For his glorious entrance. So definitely looking.
Yeah, I don't see him getting a loss in his hometown.
Yeah,
at
definitely.
all. No way.
Me neither. So that's going to wrap things up for us here. So before we let you go, we've got a new edition of your column, Mixed Tag Mayhem, coming up next week. So,
Yes.
any word for the people on what we might be looking forward to?
I have no idea. The way that Josh and I usually do it, we pretty much keep what we're going to write about a secret from each other. One of us, whoever's going to start it that week, or the bi-weekly, will write their paragraphs, hand off, the laptop, and, the other one will read it and, go from there, so that it's all kind of like a fresh kind of thing in our heads. So that's all up, and that's his ball game this time.
Instant reactions is what
exactly
is what we look forward to from that one. So that it will be coming up next Tuesday. So before we let you go, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know how they can get a hold of you on social media?
I am on Facebook, Kristina Marston on Facebook. Kristina spelled with a K because my parents are super special. You can follow me on Twitter at TRR Goulina, which is spelled GHOULINA. Also, I am on Instagram at, what is my Instagram thing? I can't even remember.
I think it's,
let's see.
Isn't it? I think it's Ina Golina, right?
It's probably Ina Golina. That's pretty much my my go-to handle on everything.
Pretty much if you want to...
Yeah, Ina Golina on Instagram.
Pretty much if you want to follow Kristina, just go to any of her posts on TopRopeReport.com, her little About the Author section, and you can find her via social media right through there.
Oh, yes.
That makes
I'm
it
a
much
strange
easier.
breed, so it's always something interesting that I have to say. One of the snarkiest smarks that has ever lived.
That's a much easier way of telling people to find the social media, especially where, me, I've got like 6 accounts that I'm managing right now. So.
Right. And my handle has to have a weird spelling of some, super, underground song that I like to think is written about me.
Well, it wouldn't fit if it didn't, so I mean...
Right!
All right,
for
Kristina.
Sure.
So thanks again for joining the show. Hopefully we'll have you on a lot quicker than it took to get you on this time, but we'll definitely...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We'll definitely be talking to you again.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it.
All right, everybody. That was the Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver Toronto preview and prediction show with Kristina Marston of TopRopeReport.com. Definitely would look forward to having her on the show again. She's a pretty cool chick to talk to, very easy to get along with, and definitely knows her wrestling. So, like I said, fellas, sorry, Josh won. So before we get everybody out of here, I would like to keep urging everyone to read TopRopeReport.com for the latest and greatest professional wrestling news. Great columns such as Kristina's, which there is a new edition coming out on Tuesday of Mixed Tag Mayhem. We also will have live, in progress, results of NXT TakeOver Toronto on Saturday night, and then Survivor Series on Sunday night. So those are great if you're stuck at work, can't watch the show. Just hop on your phone and refresh the results page every few minutes, and you can see what exactly is going on if you don't feel like waiting. So, you can follow Kristina on Twitter at TRR Goulina. That's TRRGHOULINA. You can follow me on Twitter at TRR_EAmes. That's EAMES. TopRopeReport.com, of course, is on Twitter at TRR Wrestling. We are also on Facebook at TopRopeReport.com, and we are on Instagram at TopRopeReport.com. So until next time, my friends, be sure to go check past episodes of Top of the Morning on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Subscribe to the show, and be sure to stay on the lookout for future episodes of the podcast. I am still working on getting some more great interviews for you guys. I don't want to give any names away just yet until anything is confirmed, so you'll have to stick around and find out when it happens. So until next time, just remember, it's not how hard you get knocked down, it's whether or not you can kick out.